Okay, so I'm dressed in my gear for welding, and I have decided that I'm going to move these wheels on the dust. Let's move this a little closer. I'm going to move these wheels up, so they're just tack welded on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust them loose with a grinder, and then I'm going to move them to the end, and it'll make this a little bit more stable. And this will just take a second. Okay, so now that those are removed, I'm going to go ahead and weld them back on in the right spot. As you can see, I'm using very short welds. I'm just tacking the casters to the frame. I find that this works really well, and it is substantially easier than drilling and tapping and bolting. You know, it's probably costing me a penny a piece to weld these on, and it takes just a couple minutes to remove them if I ever need to grind them back off. Yeah, still has a little tendency to want to rock back, but it's not as bad as it was. I feel like it would take a little bit more to flip it over, so it's an improvement. And this has been degreased using TSP substitute and hot water, and it's now ready for priming. That'll be the next step on this particular project. Okay, so the dust collector stand has been primed and painted. I used Rust-Oleum Kona Brown paint to cover the rusty metal primer that I had sitting around. I brushed on the primer, and so there's some brush strokes that are visible. Can't see them in the camera. And the next step is for me to mount the barrel and then wire the dust collector up, and I'll show that step in just a few minutes. Okay, so I have relocated the frame out behind my workshop. I have a little covered area that I built. I used to keep a couple of air compressors back here. And you can actually see my monitor that I use to check shooting quality. And it's sitting on top of the control box. And so the way this control box works is there is a 30 amp 3-phase cutoff switch here. And then there is a 24 volt power supply like you'd use on a air conditioner heater, and there is a contactor which you can actually see here. And what happens is at the end of this wire there's a switch, and when the switch is engaged it throws the contactor, and that causes the fan to run. And this is a really safe way to control high amperage loads. This is how most air conditioners, heaters, and machines are controlled. It's essentially what the fancy starter is that many places would sell you. So as part of my Nanohawk company, which makes small electronics and embedded devices, I'm going to build a version of Tiny Timer that will allow for a delayed run. So there'll be an on button, an off button, and a button that every time you push it, it'll run for 2 minutes. So if you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll run for 8 minutes. And I think that's how I'm going to run my dust collector. So anyway, so next step is for me to bring the pieces out. And I'm going to start with the barrel and then the fan. So alright, so the barrel's in place, now for the fan. Alright. Given what this weighs, it really ought to be a 2-person lift, but I can get it. So here we go. Okay, and so it's just that simple. It's in place. Now I'm going to roll it back into where I actually want it to be, which isn't going to work because it's too far from the control. Yeah, it's going to have to come closer still. Alright, that'll work. So next step is for me to connect the hose. I need a small piece of pipe to do that. So let me go get the little bit of hose that I have. Okay, so first things first, I want to just slip this together. Okay, so that's on there. Now what I need to do is figure out how it's just going to connect to there. Okay, so I found the nut driver for these clamps. It's if you're buying your hoop clamps from Peachtree Woodworking, it uses a 10mm bolt. All right, so what I've done is I've notched this pipe. I don't know if this is going to get any better, but we'll trowel it. We'll try fitting it here. Okay, so I can get the tubing onto this pipe. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and fasten this down. Then I'm going to run tape around it because I consider this a permanent connection. Okay, I was not able to locate the tape that I wanted, but I have some packing tape and that will do for testing purposes. And this is not perfect. I'm going to get an adapter for this. And until I can get the adapter in, this will work. Alright, the next step is to go ahead and wire this. Okay. Alright, so that's complete. Okay, so the next step is to put a hole in the side of the building so that the dust collector has a way in. So what I've done is I've turned this 90 degrees so this is straight in. Alright, different drill. Maybe this one will work better. I'm going to go ahead and hook a hose up to this. Make sure it fits through this opening. Yes. Barely, but it fits. Okay, for control purposes, I'm using just this piece of wire, and I'm just going to strip off some of it and twist the two pieces together. And that'll just cause it to come on when there's power applied, which is fine for now. So I'm going to add a respirator to this. Because I don't want to breathe whatever it sucks up. Now let's put it through its paces and see what it can do. Okay, so I have some sawdust. let's see what happens. No. All right, so it works, and it works well. It sucked up everything that I put in it, and a little teeny tiny piece of dust here and there might have gotten out, but not worried about that. The important part is this works, and it keeps the ultra-fine dust and the chips out of my shop. Okay, so one other piece that I didn't cover was how to attach the lid. So with both hoses off, I can slip this down in here like this, pull that hose out of my way, and then this just clamps on and it clamps it tight. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more test. I've hooked it up to a jointer, and I'm gonna run some boards through it and just see how the dust collection looks, and I'm gonna tape it because I want to see how much dust comes out. So we're set on about 1/8 of an inch here on a Grizzly joiner. It's a pretty heavy pass, and we're doing a 2x4. Double check there's nothing in here that's going to make me hate it. Looks good. And just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to hit it again on the back side. Okay, so just as a follow-on to that test, this is the jointer that was hooked up to the dust collector for the test, and here is 2x4 that I took 1/8 of an inch off each side, and then took 1/8 of an inch off one end, and I'm really pleased with the results. Joiner worked fantastic. The dust collector worked fantastic. There weren't a pile of chips outside. There were a couple of little teeny tiny flake type chips that were out there, but it's not a big deal. I am very, very happy with the results of my dust collector. Recycled blower, $25 drum, about $50 worth of connectors, and about $50 worth of steel. So all in, it's a $125 project for me, and to get a true 1.5 horsepower dust collector with a quality fan on it would have been, you know, several $100s. So there is savings for me. At some point I may look to upgrade the blower. I think the blower is a little on the weak side, but it will certainly do what I need it to do for now. Thanks for watching.